with us today a guest by the name of Andrew Grinbaum. He is a five-time entrepreneur, MBA professor, and ICF-certified coach who fuses rigorous business strategy with mindfulness, meditation, and soul-aligned leadership. He has scaled multiple multi-million-dollar companies and coached more than 4,000 leaders from Fortune 500 executives to seven and eight figure small business CEOs. As founder of spiritualbiz.org and Best Virtual Staff, he helps CEOs create owner independent companies, rediscover their purpose, and grow with clarity and heart. His mission: empower leaders to work less, earn more, reduce stress, and build businesses that generate freedom, impact, and a legacy rooted in meaning, not burnout. Welcome to the podcast today, Andrew.
Thanks so much, Rashad. That was a great intro. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Awesome, man.
That's
You
awesome.
are excellent.
I feel great. You should intro me every time I have a call. That'd be amazing.
That's awesome, man. You have a lot of accolades under your belt, man. Five-time entrepreneur. Was that stressful? Has it been?
Yes, it was. And that's the normal. Yes, it definitely was stressful to build. I mean, life is stress. There's a lot of stress in life. But that's why I bring, all these spiritual principles to bear with myself in my journey and for my clients, because that lowers, what we want to do is go from stress to pressure. Pressure is good. We need that pressure to grow. Stress is when it becomes reactive, when we get into negative feelings, sadness, anger, upset, whatever it is, right? Fear, that's stress. So pressure is another thing. We need that, right? We need that pressure to turn the coal into diamond, right? We need that pressure. I'm sure you'll agree, right? I'm sure your audience will agree too. We need that pressure. And the interesting thing is all we do is run away from stress, run away from pressure when that's all we need. Right. That's all we need to grow.
That's a definite. I agree 100%. So let's rewind. Let's rewind in time. And can you tell us, when were you bitten by the entrepreneurial bug? Did it just automatically start, or how that?
Yep. So I've been around, you can see from the gray, I've been around for a little while, right? After graduate school, it's 90s, I lived in New York City for 25 years. And after graduate school, I got a great job in publishing in New York. I thought I had it made, right? And I've always been entrepreneurial, buying and selling things in college and in high school and doing all sorts of things like that. But I was looking forward to a career in corporate America, publishing, right? It's like very prestigious. And I got a job at a book publishing company. And guess what? At 23 years of age, and I did everything right. I got my undergraduate degree in 3 years. I got a degree in 1 year. I love studying. Like, I really worked hard. And I thought it was a success. Maybe I was, but when I got into corporate America, guess what? Nobody cares what a 24-year-old says. Right. 54-year-old, right? Everything is done by committee. And the best ideas, if they're not approved by this committee or the powers that be, that's why so many different products come out, right? Of corporate America, they're like, why are they selling this? This is a terrible product. So about a year into it, I quit. Something happened. I started studying, which I want to talk about. I started studying something called the Kabbalah, which is an ancient mystical system. And it helped me overcome my fears and go off on my own after a year in corporate America and become a consultant. And that was my first business. And this is back in the 90s, when people didn't know. Like, I worked from home. I had my phone. I had my fax machine. I don't know if you remember those. I had a fax machine, my phone, and I worked from home, and people didn't know what the heck I was doing. People would call me like, Andy, can you pick up my dry cleaning? I'm like, I'm working. I'm like, come on, you're at home. What are you doing? Right. So I started working from home back then. So when COVID hit, I was like, welcome, everyone. Welcome.
I
Welcome from
bet.
the work from home revolution. So I've been doing it for a long time. So that was my first bug. The bug came because people weren't listening to me, and I'd rather be a consultant because I know then people will listen. They'll listen to the consultant because they're paying them more. Now, I wasn't charging that much at 24, but people listened to me. And that was for me empowering to be listened to in the room. So that's how I broke off because I saw in corporate America, it's not going to work for me. I'm too independent. I have too many ideas. So that's how it started. That's how it
Oh
started.
man, I get it. That's the entrepreneurial way. And I watched one of your YouTube shorts or videos, and it spoke about ego, how ego can be a positive asset. Would you say that that is what you were kind of running on, was ego at that moment in time?
I think so, but yes, the positive part of it, it's a great point you bring up, right? It's a great you found something really interesting because we look at ego as negative, right? Your ego, you're coming from ego. But there's a negative and positive ego. There's an ego that wants to share and make a difference in the world. You need to know your strengths, right? What you're good at. All right. You're good at talking, right? You're good. I mean, this is what you're doing. Me too. Professor, I've done all these things. I'm very good at public speaking. So is that ego to say I'm a good speaker? No, it just is what it is. And I can share like that with the world. So of course, ego can, when it becomes a self-obsessed and you're thinking what I can get. But if you're coming from ego, what you can give to people, how you can make a difference in their life, right? Like this podcast. People listen to this, 1, 2, 10, 100, who knows how many people will be inspired and change something in their life. You can be proud of that. You can have a little ego about it, right? Good ego.
Right.
But there's a huge difference, if that makes sense, right?
Yes.
If that makes sense. Excuse me. And that is something I learned in my spiritual journey as well, right? We're always told to be humble and nice and not make a fuss. Nobody's been successful is quiet. It just doesn't exist.
Right.
You have to have a healthy ego for sure. And
For sure.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, man. A lot of the times when you're confident, people conflate that with arrogance.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have an ego. It's okay to be a little selfish. A lot of the things that we are taught, coming up, being younger, Johnny, share that toy. Johnny, don't be like that way to
Mhm.
Susie. Well, guess what? It's okay to want your toy. you
Yeah.
know, that's totally okay. So
Yeah.
I think we have to kind of get away from that or teach it in a different sense.
Correct. And interesting, you also bring up a word called selfish, which has a negative connotation. So, as I mentioned, I've been studying for over 30 years something called the Kabbalah, and I'll tell you how this will go into selfishness. So, um, Kabbalah is an ancient mystical practice that what I liked about it is that all the major religions have their Kabbalists and study Kabbalah. The Jews have it, Christians have it, the Muslims have it. Muslims have Sufis who study Kabbalah. So all the major, at least Western religions, have Kabbalah in them. And they taught me, and that was one of the reasons this helped me to break out right of corporate America and grow all these businesses, is that Kabbalah talks about something called the 3-column system. There's a circuitry in the universe that are threes, and we can see this in the subatomic world, right? There's proton, electron, neutron. There's a positive force, a negative force, and like a neutral force. And we see this in a light bulb, right? Like how does a light bulb work? There's a positive side pushing out electricity, right? From the positive pole, negative pole receiving. That's not enough. There's a filament, the filament that is a restrictor. And the bigger the filament, the more light the light bulb produces. So this is in nature. This happens whether it's a subatomic particle or the basic circuit we all know about, which is Edison's light bulb. So how does this relate to success? A lot of us are taught, right? The right column, the sharing. It's a metaphor, right? But the right column in the light bulb, the electricity being pushed out. That's the sharing part. That positive pole wants to just give electricity. And we're taught to give, right? To give. That's very important. We definitely should give and find where, we shine. How do you shine? What's naturally easy for you to make a difference in people's lives with? For some people, it's sales. For other people, it's maybe doing their books. For other people, it's organization, whatever it is. That's what you're naturally good at. But the left column is very important too, because that's what draws the energy. Without drawing energy, the left column, you could say, is selfish, right? All it wants, the negative pole wants electricity. That's us. Also, we have that in us. You have to know what you want. So it's interesting when I start working with clients, and I work with founders typically. Now I'm focusing on tip primarily small business owners between $1 and $20 million, that range. And a lot of people like 3, 4, $7 million, those kind of companies, founders, a lot of them have forgotten why they got into business. So I sit with them and go, what do you want out of life? What do you want? Like from a selfish place, you want to make $10 million next year. You want to have a soulmate, you want to have this house, whatever it is. You have to visualize what you want. You have to know what you want. Obviously, not just for your own self-aggrandizement, right? Just to show off, but maybe some people want to show off a little bit. That's okay too. You need both. What can you share, right? What are you naturally great at doing? And what do you want? There's nobody who's successful who isn't a little bit selfish. They want things. And yeah, it's this, I don't know where it comes from, Judeo-Christian background, the church, the synagogue. I don't know where it comes from, right? That where we have this culture of don't be selfish. It's thousands of years of, culturalization to the I don't know, comes from the church. I don't know where it comes from, right? Partly, right? Partly. Don't be selfish. That's who are some of the richest people in the world, right? People own churches, actually, right? The Catholic Church is one of maybe the richest institution in the world. And they're saying, money is evil. No, the love of money is evil. But money makes the world go round. You could change the world, right? You
Yeah.
need money to change the world. So you should be selfish for the right reasons, right? Because you want to change the world with your money, or you want to be an example to other people. I have some people, I worked with somebody, I'm still working with them. They used to be a teacher and they worked in the nonprofit world. And now they own a very successful restaurant and they're building out other restaurants and they feel guilty. They have this super successful restaurant making millions of dollars. And they created a place where it feels so good to come. They're really sharing in that restaurant. Everybody works. It's such a homey feel. He's so successful. People love going to this restaurant. And he makes 30, 40% more than the average restaurant in the same target because he's so sharing. But he feels guilty about making all this money. I'm like, no, bro, like it's good. You're showing everybody what true sharing does. You're really sharing with the community. It's like a little corner shop in St. Louis, in the middle of nowhere. And it's a multi-million-dollar. You're showing people what happens when you share with the community. You make money. And that's great. So don't feel guilty about being rich. And you need that money. You can take that money now, build another restaurant, and you can give back. All right. So he treats also his employees I think the minimum wage is something like $25 an hour in his restaurant in St. Louis. That's for everybody, like a cook, dishwasher on, right? He treats everybody with so much sharing that even a dishwasher can make over $50,000 a year starting. And that's why he's so successful, because people feel the energy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People feel it and they put their heart into it. And everybody in the community visits his restaurant. So, I'm like, you should be so proud that you have this restaurant and don't feel guilty about making many hundreds of thousands of dollars a year with one restaurant. We're building another one now and he's going to have others. Stop feeling guilty about it. You're such an example to the rest of the people who used to be teachers or worked in nonprofits. And and they maybe want to start something. You're a model and you're paying your dishwasher 25 bucks an hour in St. Louis, which is a little more affordable than many other places, right? So you should be so proud of that. I mean, he's transforming. And that's what coaching is there to help him, recognize how valuable he is and how valuable he is being rich. He's more valuable being rich than poor.
Yeah. I listened to a guy by the name of Myron Golden.
Sure.
So one of the things that I remember him saying is, if you're selling something to a person or offering your service, let's say consulting, it's pretty much your duty to be the person that offers. If you are an expert in your field and you can help that person without it being salesy and you a person looking at it as sales, you are somewhat required to help this person and
Yep.
let them know that your services are available without looking at it in a sales perspective. Have you
Yeah.
ever coached someone in that same sense?
So I can give you an example of somebody who actually he was a client of mine for career coaching because he wanted to switch. But he already, I'll tell you, great mindset. So he wanted to move from he used to sell, he still does, he went back. He was one of these few people who could make over $1 million every year selling cars. Aren't a lot of people doing that. He didn't work at like a Bentley dealership. He worked at a BMW dealership, but it's not like he was selling supercars. He was selling executive cars, executive level cars. And he was making consistently year after year $1 million. How'd he do it? Right? When the average car salesman makes 70, 100, if they're really good, 150,000. How'd he do it?
Right.
Well, first he had incredible discipline. Every morning he was on the phone by 8 a.m. cold calling executives about the spec. But his consciousness was he put his heart. He was calling people not to sell them a car, but he was calling them to, his pitch would be something like, listen, I know you're a busy executive and you're working so hard. Wouldn't it be nice to travel to and from work in a beautiful car with leather and wood? And it would just make you feel great. Spend some of the money you made on feeling great. Remember to appreciate your job as an executive and you have this money. And so he was really sharing an idea with people, right? He was just sharing with them and he really believed it, that these people who work so hard are in the office by 7 and they stay there till 10 o'clock and they're traveling around the world, right? Living out of a suitcase. These are successful, affluent people, but they work really hard. Shouldn't they have a nice car, to enjoy themselves in when they're going between meetings? And that was his consciousness. And people felt it because he really meant it. It was sincere. It came from the heart. He wasn't selling BMWs. He was selling feeling good. And he made $1 million every year. And I coached him. He wanted to get actually into SaaS software and he was looking to transfer to selling software. He actually didn't like it that much. He went back to selling cars because he could have direct impact on hundreds of people every year. And a lot of these people are making a lot of money. They never thought about their car. And he helped them think about their car in a different way. Like, this is a little bit of luxury, while you're traveling that hour to work or 30 minutes to work. And he had an impact on hundreds of people every year selling BMW, selling cars. So you don't need to be in some sort of world changing job, right? Be a podcast host or be a coach or anything like that. You can sell cars and change the world. He certainly did for all his clients. And he still makes up he's one of these, you hear about these guys, you don't meet a lot of them. He's a 7-figure guy year after year. Crazy, right? Amazing. And he tried to train other people. They made him a sales manager for a while and he stopped because people they would still want to sell. I'm like, no, you don't sell. You give, you share, you get people excited, you motivate people. You get them excited about the feeling of being in a nice, BMW, feeling good about themselves.
Right.
Nobody got it. So all these other people in the BMW dealership are making 70, 80,000. He's making $1 million. He even tried to give it to them. Some people just don't. Most people, unfortunately, just don't get it. Right? It's a mindset. So he actually already had it, but it was just like the perfect example because he used this mindset to get super, super wealthy. Again, in car sales, a job we could all get tomorrow, right?
Right.
Any dealership, get a job as a car salesperson. But most people just look in, they see a customer and they're like, what can I sell them? That's the wrong. You're not coming from your heart then. You're coming from a scarcity place, right? Oh, that's my next paycheck. Let me sell that guy. This guy doesn't do that. He goes, well, how can I help that person live a better life? Right? Buy with their car. You get it?
Yeah.
So it's a mindset shift, but that's what it's really about. That's going from, mind-based and thinking all the time to being heart-based. Is about, understanding that you have to speak from heart to people. You have to be authentic and speak to them from the heart. And you could sell $1 million of cars a year if you speak from the heart. More actually, right? Because he made $1 million in commissions. Crazy.
In
That's
commission.
the trick. And that's what Byron talks about too, right? A lot. He's all heart, right? He's all amazing. And that's why is he a billionaire yet? I think he's on his way or something.
He has a lot of money.
Right? But he's all heart,
Yeah, that's all he preaches. Definitely.
He also has a discipline, right? All these like this guy also every morning, 7 a.m. he would come in, make his call list, and at 8 a.m. start calling executives. And it's hard, right? To cold call executives. His first 2 hours are cold calling executives every day. Even he's not resting on his laurels, even though he made $1 million last year, this year again. And obviously he gets a lot of referrals at this point, right? And people call him back and go, wow, I want to upgrade my car because I'm enjoying this 7 Series. Let me get this other thing, right? They get it. So he has a great discipline. I'm sure Byron does too. And all these guys, Myron, Myron. All these guys have incredible discipline, but discipline isn't enough. Working hard without putting your heart into it and really helping the other person, you need both. You need
Correct. I agree. And also that equals systems. If you're working that hard and you know that this is what you're going to do, you're disciplined enough, it kind of just become a system. And systems is what really pays, more
That's
than
right.
anything.
That's right. All these systems of scaling. So I work with a lot of small businesses and we call them UB, Ultimate Business System, SOP, Standard Operating Procedure, whatever you want to call it. I tell people your business. Imagine why is McDonald's so successful? You buy McDonald's, they give you a book. Probably it's digitized now, but one time you used to do books, right? You open up the franchise book and it has everything listed, exactly what you need to do from the moment you walk into the store, turn on the lights and turn on the heat until you leave at night. Everything is in there. Everything is systemized. And that's why McDonald's is so successful.
Right.
Same thing with your business too. A lot of people come to me and they're already successful. They don't come to me when they're not. I work with some startups, but typically people making $2, $3, $7 million, they're already successful in what they're doing. But let's say they were interested, just like in publishing, right? So he has a magazine, an online magazine. He loved publishing. He loved this vertical that he services. But 7 years into it, he's not just a publisher. He's not just writing articles. He's the bookkeeper. He's the salesperson. He's the HR person. He's doing with this guy. I asked him to put together a job description, what he does. And I saw there's 9 jobs here. You're doing 9 jobs. So no wonder you never see your family and you're working 80 hours a week. Very successful, right? He has a second home, and he has a bunch of cars and all this kind of stuff. But he's not really, he may have a lot of money, but he's not affluent. He's not wealthy because he's working 9 jobs. And a lot of people get there. People think, oh, I just want to make millions of dollars in my business. No, slow down. Okay. Make sure that as you grow, or if you get there and now you're making millions, you have to slow down to speed up now. And, you know, you have to create standard operating procedures for all the different things in your company. And then you have to hire somebody to do that. You have to outsource it. You can't do everything. And people, I have this contractor, very successful, high-end contractor in Boston. And I'm sure he pulls out also, close to $1 million from his company, or he did. But he never saw his family. So he hired 2 assistants. He hired a project manager. He hired an office manager. He hired about 6 or 7 people. His take home probably went down to like $300,000 from $1 million. But guess what? Now he has a staff. He can scale because he created systems for everything, and he hired people to do these jobs. So now he can get to 5, 10, $20 million. And now he is the CEO. He's not a contractor. And that's one of the things that people have to get their head around. Also, when you're starting a business, you are not anymore a coach or a doctor or a contractor or whatever. No, you're a CEO of an asset. It's a small business, right? Small businesses are a great asset class, but it's like a stock. And you have to understand, you're the CEO. You're almost like the chairman or the chairperson of this stock called your business. All right. You're not a worker anymore. You're a CEO. So what are you doing to make this asset grow? All right. So it's different than being a contractor. Contractor goes in there and remodels your home. No. You could get a job doing that. You could subcontract and just have a job doing that. But if you have a business, you're the CEO of this contracting company. Different mindset. So it's all about mindset, right? Because then you'll go, oh, okay. So if I was Warren Buffett and I invested in a contracting company, would Warren Buffett go out there and add an addition to or build a deck? Of course not. Crazy. But that's how people work. Like, you want to build look at yourself like Warren Buffett. And if Warren Buffett hired you, let's say to be the CEO of this company, would he have you putting decks up? Probably not. He would have you creating operating procedures and hiring people to do that so you can go out and build a company. All right. In fact, that's the question I ask when a lot of clients come to me. One of the first questions I ask is, imagine if Warren Buffett just gave you $100 million. Okay. How would you do things differently? I goes, oh, well, hire people. You know what I'm saying? Then they start thinking, right? If you have to report to Warren Buffett, would you still be doing your bookkeeping every day and wasting time with that when you could hire somebody for $25 an hour to do that? Or would you find somebody to do it so that you could help Warren Buffett grow his investment, in your stock, right? Your business. Is that making sense?
Yes.
So these are all mindset shifts. And that's why, I call it, like, I have this nonprofit, Spirituality in Business, but it's really about being spiritual, not from a sense of what God you believe in, but you have to put your heart and your spirit and your mind and your consciousness into your business. Take a step back and look at it and go, wait a minute, I have this stock. I have this asset called mybusiness.com or whatever. How am I growing? How am I taking care of it? How am I building it? Or am I just working day to day and, on the rat race? You might as well have gotten a job. You probably make more money and work less hours.
Definitely.
So it's all consciousness, basically. It's all mindset.
So how do you, if you were speaking to someone right now about your services or, marketing and, talking to someone that's your avatar, ideal client, what would your procedures look like to help that person?
Sure. I mean, I would, I come in as a coach, so I have a background in marketing and operations and building and scaling. But I would come in and, we would first stop. Well, few things we do, but the first thing I would do with a small business owner is stop and look at the big picture stuff. That's where you begin. That's how the process begins. So, do you know your mission in this world? And the mission comes from your values. If you strip away, somebody asked me this actually, something very similar. If you strip away the titles and the money and everything, what do we have as entrepreneurs? If we have to, our values, that's where it starts with. What are your
Mhm.
values? So I explore with people their values, trying to figure out, not try, I have a process for it, figure out what are their values, the thing that drives them. Most people don't slow down to figure out what do they value. Is it being a perfectionist? Is it leadership? Is it wisdom? Is it sharing? What is it? What are your values? Everybody's is different. But from that, um, from there you can grow your business, because then if you know your values, you can talk about those values if they're really authentic. You can have an ad agency come in and give you a bunch of values, right? And it's a bunch of platitudes. It's BS. Excuse my language. It means nothing.
Mhm.
It's something internal process to create your values, or know what they are. Once you discover them and you can put them into words, you can speak to other people about your values, and you'll connect with them, and it'll be much easier to sell and grow your business and hire the right people, because you'll be authentically speaking your truths. So that alone helps people grow quite a bit, because then they understand what they have to. Every problem, I see this. Yesterday I had two different calls with two different founders, and they were both having problems because they're living outside their values. Every problem was because they weren't honoring their values. Give you an example. One of them, he's a perfectionist. He is a master at creating perfect businesses and perfect systems. He also happens he does really high end, like super expensive, high end roofs for big commercial buildings and like very very expensive homes, like the highest, the best of the best. And he's a perfectionist. And he realized all the problems in his business have been working with people who are nincompoops, who aren't like the opposite of perfectionists. He used a different word, which I don't want to say, but just like clowns, basically. I'm like, every problem is that you're working with, and he realized, working with clowns. You got to stop working with clowns who aren't into perfection, because that's your value. You really value perfection. And with a roof, right, you got to be perfect, especially if somebody's paying top dollar. They're paying sometimes millions of dollars for these roofs. You're all about perfection, and you're working with people who are bringing you down. You have to fix their problems because they're not perfectionists. They may be really good at bringing in money or selling deals, but you could sell deals. So is his value. His value was, and he went back on, what did we do last year? Let's read over your values. And one of them was perfection. I'm like, that's what you value that. So what are you doing working with people who aren't so you see how that the value, it's not a necessarily, it's a soft and squishy thing. But if you build your business from your values, then you wouldn't work with clowns. If your value is perfection, right? You'd find other people who have the same value. And you also speak to it about your clients, and he can authentically say that. If I build a roof for you, Mr. or Miss Customer, okay, and this is a very expensive, high end, Italian tile, he does these like crazy things. It's going to be the most beautiful, perfect roof you've ever seen, right? And he can guarantee it, and he can honor that commitment, because he won't he won't quit until it's the most perfect, $1 million roof. It's just crazy how much money. There's money in every business, by the way. Being a coach, there's money in every business. You can make money in any business if you come from your values and you offer incredible service. By the way, that's a whole other conversation. But that's what I would start with. I start my clients by understanding their values, their mission, and then once we have that, we I asked the question, what is your 10-year goal? What's your 10-year plan? The reason I say 10 years, because in 10 years, anything can happen. You can do anything in 10 years. So that's a time to dream. It takes people out of their left brain, puts them in their right brain, their creative mode. Where do you want to be in 10 years? You want to have $100 million company, $50 million company? You want to be, you know, working from a dashboard, having an owner independent company, whatever. And then we work back from that 5 year, 3 year, and then we do a 1 year plan based on reverse engineering their 10-year goal. And that's a great way to grow. A lot of people kind of are shooting in the dark. They're kind of making things up as they go along every day. That's not a way to build a business. They're just going to be going around and around, and maybe they're building the business, but they're just going to be working more and more and enjoying life less and less. And my clients typically, not all, because not everybody, some people, you know, don't take to coaching. They don't want to change. There's not much I can do. But people who are open to coaching, I would say most of my clients grow. I have many clients who work less and less every year and they keep doubling their business. I have many people, 3, 4 years, they've doubled their business every year because that's their, they have a plan like that: mission, vision, values, 10-year plan. And then we create a 1 year plan around that. So they keep going towards their 10-year plan. That's long answer to a short question, but a really good one.
Well, really good answer. Someone can listen to this and take value directly from that answer. So perfect.
Thank you.
And that's where you want to be, working less, making more.
Exactly.
That's a perfect place to be.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So your company is a nonprofit.
Correct.
Is there a reason that you didn't do for profit, or is it based on, I don't know, is it based on spirituality? Is it based on coaching? The reason that you went that route?
I just wanted to give an opportunity for people who there's a lot of people who coaching, there's a lot of people who can't. So I wanted to offer a place where people can donate money for other people who want coaching and get a tax write-off, right? They can donate. And I'm creating, you see, I have a bunch of on my site, spiritualbiz.org. I have a bunch of free, it's going behind the paywall soon, but I have other things that are free webinars, free playbooks. I want to develop all these things and I want to develop more. So that takes money. And so some of my clients who can afford it donate money towards those things. So I can have, I can create these programs. And then again, because it's a nonprofit, I can use some of the proceeds from my coaching to, again, I have my rates, but I'm not gonna, if somebody is authentically really wants coaching and really wants to grow their business and they can't afford it, we're going to make it work. And if that means I'm going to go to one of my other clients and go, hey, this guy, this gal wants coaching. First of all, I can do it. It's a way for me to give. So I give my time to people who can't afford it. But I can also raise money for it, and I can bring all these people together. So it was very strategic to start a nonprofit. Also, because it's not under my brand, I used to have like grinbaum.com and my name, I want to bring on other coaches and other people and create a group of what I call change agents who are here to make the world a better place. All these different CEOs who can work together, and some of them are already working together. Actually, the mission of the nonprofit is to find, our first goal is to find 25 CEOs who are change agents. They want to make a difference in the world somehow, and get them all to $100 million. So I want to help clean the oceans. I want to help with the mental health crisis. I want to help with the divisions and politics we have today. I want to help with all these things. It's impossible to do everything yourself. So I'm finding CEOs that are doing all these different kind of things. I have a company that's solving poverty in Latin America. I have another company that's solving the mental health crisis, so on and so forth. Or in the restaurant world, right? This guy I mentioned, who is bringing dignity to workers by offering them a livable wage, no matter what they do, right? And I want to bring all these people together, help coach them, and create a place. So it's not grinbaum.com. It's not my coaching company. Ultimately, this will be bigger than me, right? And it's already bigger than me. It's a nonprofit where all these CEOs can come together and build these big businesses that are going to solve the world's problems. And I know there's a lot of other people doing it. I'm going to do my part, right? I'm going to work with the people who come through spirituality and business institute. That's what I'm going to work with. And then ultimately they're already, some are working together and they can keep growing and working together. So that's why it's a nonprofit entity.
That's awesome, man. That's very commendable.
Thank you.
It is an institute, and it's something that's very much needed.
Yep.
If we could all kind of give a piece of ourselves and our vision towards the world, I just truly think it would be a better place.
That's right. That's right. And also we see, I wish priests could change the world. I wish politicians could change the world. I wish bureaucrats could change the world, but they can't. They're not. They move too slow. The only people who can move fast are entrepreneurs, right? We can flip like that. We can pivot so quickly. And so, and it's happening. Entrepreneurs are getting consciousness. They are becoming more conscious and more heart-based. And we are the people that are going to change the world. This company that is alleviating poverty, they're already employing 6,000 people. They've only been around for 5 years. 6,000 poor in the slums of Mexico City. They're employing 6,000 people and giving them livable wages. A government couldn't do that. They
Right.
just don't know how to operate that fast. They don't know how to operate like that, right? Or this other company doing work on mental health and going into hospitals. The UN is wonderful and they have all these great ideas about helping, right? We agree, we can all agree that there's a mental health crisis in this world today. There's more people depressed and sad and angry and anxious than ever before. But what has the UN done about it? They make a lot of speeches. It's really beautiful. They want to change the world, but they just waste a lot of money. And then you have a small company in California that can go and train thousands of nurses to help people with anxiety. They can move like that. So it's going to be entrepreneurs, who change the world. And actually today is a great time. Capital and investments are looking for entrepreneurs who want to change the world. That's where the money is flowing, right? Conscious capitalism, it's called, right? There's a lot of money. All these people who have these family offices and these venture capital funds and private equity funds, they're looking for companies that are not just going to make money, but they're going to change the world. It's a great time to be an entrepreneur who wants to make a difference. There's money out there for you. So I'm helping my clients with that as well, introducing them to people with money, because it's interesting. What happens? I don't know if you ever thought about this, but what happens when you make all the money? How much money do you want to make, Rashad?
I want to start off with 100 million.
100 million. Okay. So you get the 100 million. Now, let's say, forget, you make $1 billion. What are you going to do with that? You're probably going to start giving back, right? You're probably going to change the world with that money. So you have to understand all these people. I met this guy, he runs a family office. He controls $2 billion. They made their money. These rich people, like these super uber wealthy people, they made all their money. Now they want to give back. They don't want to make more money. Yes, of course they want to make more money, but they also want to change the world, right? Because when you look at like Bill Gates, all these guys, like what does Bill Gates do now with his hundreds of billions? He's giving it away.
Give them away. And his wife.
Why not start now, right? All these people make $100 billion. And in their life, they create a nonprofit, start giving it away, right? It's crazy.
Yep, that's exactly what they do.
So we have to understand the consciousness, the mindset of these billionaires. It's changed. It's different than it used to be. This isn't the time of the Carnegies, and the Rockefellers who just like amassed wealth. The super, super wealthy today, okay, there's still some who are selfish for sure, but most of them are selfless. They want to change the world. They watch, YouTube and TikTok and watch the news too. They see that the world, the oceans are full of plastic and everybody's on anxiety medication and neighbors fighting neighbor, et cetera, et cetera. They see this too. And they go, how are we going to solve this problem? I have money. Let me see where I can put it. So it's a great time to start businesses that are changing the world because there's money out there for you. And I know some of these people, like they love it. This poverty, this company that solving poverty, they got $22 million, 25 million, something like that to start their company to work on poverty. Think about that.
Right.
There's money out there. So that's actually really, really good news for entrepreneurs. Really good news to be heart-based. And that's why I have, again, Spirituality and Business Institute to bring up these ideas and help connect people, right, who have great ideas with people who have money, right? Because you
That's
do need
good.
money. You do need money to run a business, for sure.
That connection is good. It's a connection that needs to be made because sometimes that's two different sides of the spectrum.
Correct.
A lot of people that just don't have money have, great ideas and just don't know how to get the funding for it.
Yeah. And they have to build a little bit. I mean, they have to have a proof of concept, something. But after that, yeah, you need money to save the world. You do.
Right. True.
But you need money to save the world. Don't worry. All the billionaires, there's so many billionaires out there who want to put their money to good use. I was talking Bloomberg. I was talking with somebody who worked with him. He ran for president. He used to be he runs Bloomberg and he used to be the mayor of New York. Yeah, he's funding like countrywide projects to change countries. That's where he's putting his money. After everything he's done, ran for president, was mayor, built Bloomberg, all this stuff. Now he's looking for these huge projects to change countries. Isn't that amazing? That's how he's spending his retirement.
Yeah, it is.
Amazing.
And to be able to do that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This is that's the capitalism.
Yeah. Conscious capitalism.
Conscious capitalism.
Conscious
That's
capitalism. That's
and
what
I'm so glad. I'm a person that is glad that it is making that turning a corner, and it's just not amassing and watching the peasants scramble.
Yeah.
But you actually have a time to make your own bones in this world.
Yeah. It's happening. It's don't believe everything in the media that the richest people are just looking to make even more money. Rich people are also watching the news and they're seeing, they're also worried about where we're going.
Right.
Maybe they're doing it from they have a nicer TV, like a nicer home.
On the
but
yacht.
they're also worried for a yacht, for a bunker. Now the big thing is bunkers. All these people in San Francisco, they're all building bunkers, these luxury bunkers. You heard about it. But why are they building bunkers? Because they're scared, right?
Wow.
They don't really want to go to the bunker if, God forbid, the world falls apart. That's very depressing. So,
Right.
They're building them, but nobody wants to live in a bunker.
Oh, wow. It's interesting times, to say the least.
Pardon?
It's interesting times, to say the least.
Yeah, very much so. But it's a positive time, I think. I want to end on that. It's a really positive time. And everybody realizes that we're in a place where we have to be more heart-based. We have to bring spirituality. We have to bring connection to each other.
Right.
And the very wealthy, like private equity people and stuff I talk with, that's all they're talking about. How can we use our money to make a difference? There's this company doing cleaning rivers. They got funding. They're cleaning rivers in Europe. That's where they're starting. It's a little bit easier to clean the rivers because there's also a lot of pollutants and plastic in the rivers, but they want to expand it to the oceans, right? We know there's more plastic in the ocean today than fish. Terrible. All right. So they're working on it. They're getting money. It's really great. So it's positive. There's positive things out there. And that's my job as the executive director of Spirituality and Business Institute, to let people know there's a lot of positive things going on if you want to make a difference in the world. It's a great time.
Well, Andrew, let me ask you this. Where someone listening, where can they sign up for Spirituality and Business Institute? How can
Yeah,
they find
sure. Best place is go to spiritualbiz.org. It's my website. You could find me also as my name, Andrew Grinbaum. You could find me on Facebook, on social, LinkedIn. I'll definitely answer you on Facebook and LinkedIn. Um, I don't use Instagram as much. I do it to meet people, but it's a lot, all the different social media. And you could check out some of the free offerings on spiritualbiz.org as well. But if you're interested, please reach out to me on social media. Easy to find me. There's only one Andrew Grinbaum out there with an I. So I'm around. I'm around. Very easy.
All right, man. I really appreciate you for coming on the show today. Anyone that's out there listening, this is we don't get this often. Like, this sounds to me like a trail that you might want to be on and kind of find out what Andrew is offering and what the Spirituality in Business Institute is all about. Because the conscience capitalism sounds like the way that we all want to go. And if you can sell from your heart, guaranteed that you will open up other people's hearts, and your business and your sales will be more tremendous.
10x.
So
10x your business. Well said.
There we go, man. So I want everyone out there that's listening, just continue to make moves, make money so you can make meaningful memories. Andrew, thanks a lot for coming on.
Hey, I appreciate being here. This was great. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.